Hello and welcome to another episode of Historic Hindsight. I'm John, that's Tom, and today we're bringing Joe Camel to America.
That's right, Johnny. Quite literally, we're bringing camels to America. And you're sitting there, you're like, why is this dude in a Civil War uniform? Well, that's 'cause
I was a little bit wondering that, but I figured you just lost your mind.
right before the Civil War, we thought it was a good idea to, make a United States Camel Corps. Because we just acquired a bunch of land in the desert and thought, hey, camels.
We need a desert animal for all of this desert land. So we, and we're good at importing things from desert continents into America by this point. We've got it down.
Sure.
So, wait, there's a people.
What are those? Yeah, I was about to say, Johnny, what are those things?
Sorry, that was that 1800s mentality coming through again. Those were live human beings, but, I'm guessing they were transported in much the same way.
Colored humor is what we do here at Historic Hindsight. Anyway, Johnny, this goes all the way back to a board major in 1836 in the U.S. Army. So back in 1836, not Major General, he's just a major, Major George Crossman, after fighting the Indians in Florida, had an epiphany. Horses and mules, they have limited mileage, they have significant weight restrictions, and you kind of have to water them like all the damn time. And so
they're thirsty. They do a lot of work. That's fair.
They got these things called camels. I've seen them in the zoo. And they seem like they don't need water as much and can carry a bunch more stuff. So maybe we should invest some money and bring some camels over and use them as as military beasts of burden.
Yeah, sure. That seems like a great idea. I mean, they're just as trainable as horses, right?
Pretty much. In reality, I'm joking, but it's not. It's really
not. It's not far off.
Bad idea.
So he begins in the same way.
Yeah, he begins encouraging the U.S. war to
native to.
Yeah. Well, they're not native here, so it might be a problem there. But anyway,
this was before we got to learn about how invasive species are a bad thing and change whole ecosystems and can destroy stuff. We didn't care so much back then. Not that we care now, really, but we
definitely
didn't know.
Yeah, definitely didn't care back then. So he begins to encourage the U.S. War Department to start examining this as a possibility, but this is early U.S. military history where the military has no money and does not, they can't, they're like, we're not, sure, are you going to buy them? No? Then go away.
Yeah, no. If this happened today, like with today's similarly sized military budget, they just would be like, yeah, sure, bring 10,000 of them over right away.
Not
Who
a
cares?
problem.
That'll be 0.00001% of our budget.
Sure
Go
will
for
be.
it.
But Johnny, shortly after this initial proposal happens, we get into a little bit of a war with Mexico. And that result of that little bit of a war in Mexico is that we fight in arid climates. And we also gain a crap ton of land that is mostly desert in the Southwest.
So this is
Texas to California.
Current day, New Mexico, Arizona, Nevada.
Yeah, California, Texas. This is the territories that we all gain through the Mexican-American War. So in 1848, after the Mexican-American War is over, a new major, this time Henry Wayne, is going to team up with Senator...
After it's over? So the camels weren't brought over for
that?
that?
No, not for this. No, this is after the war's over.
No, because that would have...
We got a shit ton of desert land we got a shit ton of desert land that we got to explore. So Major Henry Wayne is going to team up with Senator Jefferson Davis of Mississippi, and if you follow Civil War in hindsight, it's that traitor, President Davis. It's that guy. Yep.
Oh, God. This dickhead.
It's this dickhead. Right. And they both are like, yeah, camels. Awesome. Let's do it. So they begin pestering the War Department, who's still like, nah, we don't have the money for that. What do you guys...
But now their argument is that it's an exploration sort of like...
Yeah, it'd be useful.
They're saying if we're going to travel around at all, hauling these wagons, ammo, whatever the hell, if we're going to travel around all of this desert area, we're not going to also carry with us 10 billion gallons of water for
the horses and mules
and donkeys or whatever.
That are going to be needed. But again,
makes sense.
War Department doesn't have the money, so they're like, nah. But Johnny, Jefferson Davis is going to be appointed the Secretary of War in 1853 by President Pierce, where he's like, who's in charge of the military now?
Now I get to sign off on whatever I want. That's
projects. So he goes up to Congress in 1854 with his annual report saying, and I quote here, I again invite attention to the advantages to be anticipated from the use of camels and dromedaries for the military and other purposes, which what the fuck are the other purposes that you're going to be doing with these camels? Curious there, Mr. Trader President Davis. And two, you notice that I said anticipated benefits because they have absolutely no idea whether this is going to work or not.
It's literally a thought experiment at this time. They're just thinking, there's an animal that could be great in doing all of these things. If it just shows up, does its job, and then we're good.
Sure.
Right? No problem.
But when you're the Secretary of War, you kind of get to do what you want, and Congress is going to go ahead and approve $30,000 in 1855, which is almost $1 million in today's money to start this project. And I know, everybody at home, yes,
again,
I understand
military
that
budget
in
was
today's
different.
Military budget,
$1
million is nothing, like absolutely nothing. But then
it's a rounding error for the accounting department.
But then
today,
that's like half their. That's like half their budget.
Right, because we didn't really establish a standing army in the United States, a large standing army, until the Civil War happened, right?
Well, that was still largely a volunteer army. Which the first battle that we have, the Battle of Bull Run in the Civil War, that was the largest armies that we had ever fielded up to that point in U.S. history ever. Were at that battle.
Yeah, so it's been,
and it's not even until after World War II that the United States has a dedicated massive military budget, standing army.
After they needed the drafts to
fight the communists.
Suddenly fight a war, then they're like, hey, maybe we should just have people all the time and send a bunch of recruiters out to high schools to get young men who don't know any better and promise them some sort of future and maybe some money or
brains.
Anyway,
malleable.
Camels.
Yeah, camels. Anyways, so camels. Project gets started. There's actually a report that you can still read because it's in the U.S. archives. That's written by Davis.
Like a microfiche.
Yeah, microfiche. Yeah,
you can get a microfiche reader in the library, and
I don't think you actually have to have the microfiche anymore. But yeah, it's still on microfiche somewhere.
I don't think microfiche exists so much. I think most of it's been digitized.
Digitized. I'm sure you can. Still,
I'm sure somewhere.
Microfiche,
but as a rule, I think most of it's digital.
To the young kids, microfiche is really, really tiny pictures that are on a roll of film that you put into a projector.
Yeah, it's
don't need it anymore.
Articles and newspapers and everything else shrunk down tiny so that you can fit more information. Yeah. It's basically halfway to a CD or to a hard drive or whatever. It's just that information is way smaller.
You lost the younger audience on CDs again, too.
Oh, shit. Those were... anyway, look at some of our old tech things. You'll
in any case, you can read his article on this. It's called the Purchase of Camels for the Purpose of Military Transportation. This dude needs to learn how to make a more...
No,
I guess it's to the point. That's what the article's
exactly
about.
What's happening.
There's
not
no
catchy
words to that at all. It's just
it didn't need to be.
What it is.
It needs to be catchy. It's camels.
Now, if you Google this whole story, you're going to see that modern parlance says that Edmund Fitzgerald Beale, not the fun song about the boat that sank, but the dude, he claims that he's the one, or at least.
Who was that reference for? What song are you referencing? What
you don't know the Edmund?
Who is that for?
The Littlefoot song, the Edmund Fitzgerald. It's a song about the shipping boat. Oh my God, Johnny!
Oh, up in the Great Lakes.
Yeah, now we're gonna have. Yeah, now we're gonna have to have an episode on that to explain.
Yeah, a bunch of lakes. All right, this is where all the ships that sink.
It's oh my God.
All right.
Oh, it's a great song.
Anyways, references for our 80-year-old audience.
Legend has it that he came up with the idea when he was exploring Death Valley with Kit Carson, but truth is this was already in the works way before they were exploring Death Valley, way before they were doing their thing.
Now, I mean, he could have also had the idea independently, walking across Death Valley, being like, damn, this is high. I wish we had a camel that didn't need water.
But that's not why it happens.
So I could drink it.
Not why it happens.
But right.
Major Wayne, he's going to be given the honors to procure the camels, and on June 4th, 1855, he departs New York City on the USS Supply, headed for the Mediterranean Sea. He makes stops in Galata, Malta, Greece, Turkey, and Egypt, where he acquires, which seems like you didn't need to make that many stops.
Well, I don't know. How many camel dealers do you know?
I don't know, but it seems like you don't have to go to, like...
And how many camels... They're not going to sell enough for an army.
Maybe.
They have to breed... Like, come on. Go. All right, you go get an army's worth of cows and see if you don't have to go to multiple farms.
Fair enough. He acquires 33 camels, 19 female, 14 males, plus 2 Bactrians, which are kind of the double-backed camel guys. He gets 2 of those. 29 dromedaries, which... if somebody can explain what the fuck the difference between a dromedary and a camel is, they look the same. They're a humped back animal that looks... I don't know.
Okay.
He gets 29 of those guys with 1 calf and 1 Bukdi, which is a cross between a Bactrian and a female dromedary. So we got a double-backed camel that fucked a regular camel, and now you got a Bukdi.
Well, a dromedary is literally just a one-humped camel, Tommy. In the back train, camels are 2 humps.
So why do we have
just
to
a number of humps?
Sure.
It's because they have different. They're different.
They also acquire 2 pack saddles for specifically designed for camels, because rightfully so, the major's like, I don't think we're going to be able to buy camel saddles in the United States, so we might want to buy a couple of those so that we can design them for the military when we get back.
Yeah, just some templates, right?
Yeah,
essentially.
And they hire 5 camel drivers to teach the Camel Corps how to actually train said future camels. On February 15th, 1856, they completed their purchasing journey, and they set sail for Texas, where one of the male camels is going to die on the way, but they get 2 new baby camels, so net positive gain. Yeah.
That's 2 steps forward, 1 step back.
Yep. On May 14th, 1856, they arrive, unload their camels at Indianola, Texas. Davis, Secretary of War Davis, is going to then order a porter to return and get even more camels because, handful of camels. We're going to anticipate that this is a success. Go get some more.
It feels like, why not just make that one trip and get more? If you're going to assume it's a success right after he shows up anyway.
I don't know, Johnny.
Just save a trip.
On February 10th.
It's like going to the grocery store, coming back, and then be like, oh, well, yes, also, we needed
Go
a
get more
hamburger
milk.
meat.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, why didn't you just tell me that initially? Because I thought I wanted to see if maybe the rest of the taco ingredients would work. And they do, so go get more.
In any case, on February 10th, 1857, the additional 41 camels make it to Texas, which is good because 5 of the original camels have already died. Oops.
Well, I mean, that's a long trip. I'm guessing they don't know how to care for them right. There's probably new diseases they're being introduced to. Some other livestock.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they're camel. Who knows how old they were? I mean, they could have sold grandpa camels.
They get all the camels to Camp Verde in Texas, which is officially designated the Camel Station, and there's a total of 70 of them there at the time. Wayne attempts to establish a breeding program that's quickly put on hold as Davis wants to do military testing on the camels right off the bat, which I don't know why we can't test the camels and have them, have a little fun on the side at the same time. I don't know why that's... And I don't think you really
Why would you put a breeding program on? You obviously are going to need more than 40 camels.
Well, and what kind of breeding program do you need? Just put them all in the same pen. They're going to figure it out.
No,
they're going to figure it out.
Tommy, there's a little thing called genetic diversity that is important when you're breeding creatures. And you need to ensure that you are not breeding all over. It's a complicated thing, Tommy.
Sure.
It's not just let them in a pen to fuck whoever they want and we'll get some babies out of it.
Fine.
You got to know who the sire is so that he doesn't have sex with his own children and breed them also.
I guess we don't want inbred camels. In any case, Johnny,
we don't.
they get their first test. In 1857, Buchanan actually becomes president, ousts Davis as Secretary of War, but that's fine. No worries, because Buchanan's like, fine, they're already there. Go ahead and start using them.
Oh, good.
Using them for things.
Still on board.
They're going to assist Edmunds Fitzgerald with building a road connecting east to west. Fitzgerald is going to take 25 of these camels to survey the proposed route. The expedition leaves Camp Verde for Fort Davis, then to El Paso, through Albuquerque to arrive at their final destination of Fort Defiance. The trip begins...
Did they take a left at Albuquerque?
Huh? Yeah, left at Albuquerque.
Left at
Albuquerque. Yeah, left at Albuquerque. Trip begins on June 25th, 1857, with each camel carrying 600 pounds each, with the camel successfully completing the work of 4 mules each. So they're like, hey, they don't need water. The mules, some of them died, but no camels died. This is success.
600 pounds each on their backs?
Just fucking load them down. 600 pounds each.
Holy shit.
Mission accomplished.
Go get elephants. They're stronger.
Really well.
Bring in elephants. They're even stronger.
They need
they require a swimming pool full of water, like a day, but they could carry 2,000 pounds maybe.
Yeah, but significantly more water is needed. This was a successful demonstration of their effectiveness. Fitzgerald then begins to use the camels on his own property, which is a ranch in California, but the military finds out and says, dude, you can't. We need
What was he doing? What was he doing with him on this ranch?
Like he just
using them to carry around water for his feeders, or feed or whatever.
He gets to California. He's like, I like it here. I'm gonna stay here. Makes a ranch. He's like, well, I got these camels. I'm gonna keep them.
I'm just gonna be a camel rancher now. That's what I'm gonna do.
But the military's like, you can't. That's like the U.S. government. We stamped them. U.S. government property right on their ass. You can't keep those. Those are ours.
God, I'm just imagining like a military person today getting a bunch of tanks to a location and being like, yeah, you know what? I like it. I like these tanks here. We're gonna keep them. We're gonna fortify my house with them.
Yeah, we're gonna keep the tanks to like plow my
they're
fields.
Just mine now. Yeah, and come take them from me. See, what are you gonna do?
Sidebar, not important. Just to show you that I don't always drink crappy whiskey. I've got Maker's Mark, so it's not. It's not.
Oh, watch out!
It's not just.
If I've heard of it, it's not a good whiskey, Tommy.
Maybe. In any case, Johnny, on March 25th, 1859, the camels get their next big adventure when they were used to explore the area between Pecos River and the Rio Grande. They were pitted up directly against horses and mules. This is their first legit horses, mules,
so they're
camels.
They're doing testing. They're doing legitimate good testing with their little placebos and their camels, and their side by side testing. No, it's not double blind experiment. That's fine. No. I don't think you need that here. But they're legit.
Yeah, they're legit
testing here. This is good. This is
unsurprisingly, the camels do better. Yeah, it's like they don't need as much water. They carry more weight. I mean, the only thing you can say that's worse about the camels is they're not quite as fast as the horses are, but they can keep up with the mules just fine. And they require significantly less water.
Yeah, if you have fewer water stops, it's like going 60 miles an hour down a highway, and then you stop. You don't have to stop as often. You stop once every 8 hours or whatever, versus going 80 or 90 miles an hour down a highway, and you have to stop every 2 or 3 hours.
Yeah,
those stops are going to add up, right?
You would think, unless you're quick like us on our road trips. That 90 miles that we tend to drive on those trips.
Well, that's because I'm driving a Honda Civic, and it saves gas.
Yeah, wait, I'm pretty sure when you were going 90, we're getting 25 miles to the gallon. And
no, 28, 29, maybe. We were fine.
Sure.
We were doing good.
Sure. Fine.
I mean, I ended up splitting my fuel line, but I don't think it has anything to do with it.
Don't worry about it.
It's just that's just the thing that happens.
That didn't happen until you got back home. It was fine.
Thank God.
Fine. It made the trip. Another expedition begins in July of 1859 with similarly successful results. And even Robert E. Lee is going to lead an expedition with these camels in 1860 with 3 mules dying during his transfer, but all the camels survived. So again, every time we've tested the camels against mules and donkeys and horses, camels are coming out on top. So you might be sitting there
in that area.
Yeah, sure. And you might be sitting there thinking in the back of your head, hey, if these were so successful, why don't we hear about camels being used in the American Civil War or later?
I mean, especially with Robert E. Lee getting a bunch of them and getting in charge. I mean, why did he take them?
It's because the Civil War happened.
Swamps of Mississippi.
Yeah, it's because Texas secedes. And then the federal government loses Camp Verde. And then
Shoot.
the Confederates just kind of forget about the camels. Because, a spoiler, you're going to get mad about this if you're a dirty rebel at home. Texas did fuck all during the war. So
it was really just nothing.
They kind of forgot that the camels
really
existed.
West of the Mississippi did not exist during the American Civil War. There were 8 things that happened. There were 8 things that happened in it.
I would say there was significant action west of the Mississippi, but like west of like. Yeah, you're probably right.
Actually west, not on the west banks of the Mississippi.
Oh yeah,
there was a little bit out in California and Texas. We sent some people down a couple times to I don't know.
Yeah, in the territories, like nothing happens in Texas, nothing happens
folks
in California. There's some Indian there's skirmishes. You're talking about actual battles. Way west, like in the Arizona territory. Yeah, there's absolutely nothing.
No, it was basic because the Civil War was basically the North fighting the South for what was going to happen to all that space out in the West.
Pretty
right?
much. Like in some
when you boil it down.
Boil it down to generic. Yeah. Watch Civil War in hindsight.
To non-slavery, non-race, and whatever. Like it's just
what
what are those states going to do when they join us because we got a bunch of new land.
Yep. So in 1865, when the war's over and the federal government retakes Camp Verde, they find 12 mules, 80 camels still there, 2 camel drivers. The other 3 are gone, either dead or just fucking vanished.
Got sick of some camels.
And there are camels that are roaming the countryside because the Confederates just went, oops. And they're just like...
All right, but okay, you catch an escaped camel.
Yeah.
You know how big they are? Like, okay, do you all know how big camels are? They dwarf horses. Like, it's not close, right?
There's a reason why a camel can carry 600 pounds of crap on their back.
I don't know.
I don't think they dwarf them, but they're significantly bigger. They are bigger. Camels are bigger. Clydesdale horse might come sort of.
That's what I'm wondering.
Close-ish to the size, maybe.
They're 6 to 7 feet tall.
That's
average horse is 5 feet tall.
Yeah, so they're bigger. Yeah, bigger. It's a bigger horse. It's a bigger horse. Bigger horse.
So yeah, they're even bigger than the Clydesdales.
In 1866, the Camel Corps is dissolved. The remaining 66 camels are sold
to who?
Their experiment. Well, they're sold to an ex-Confederate who's a businessman who then like sells them out to like circuses and zoos and.
Oh. God.
Yeah. Those 66 camels probably didn't live a great life. But, Johnny, there are wild camels. In fact, there are still escaped wild camels that were regularly seen through the 1890s and inspires a legend called the Red Ghost, which was a legend of a red camel that had a being on its back. It was like this ghost story that people told. And allegedly, a farmer shot said camel and found out that it was like a fucking dead guy that was actually like on the back of the camel. Like when he shot the camel for eating its potatoes. The guy was like strapped onto the back of the camel.
Caught in the stirrups or something.
And
just
it was
stuck.
just... They're...
so it's like the deer walking around the woods that has like fucking like barbed wire on his horns and doesn't know or whatever. His camel's just chilling with some dead dude on his back. Like, why do I stink?
There are enough newspaper articles to believe that yes, there was a farmer that saw a wild camel that shot a wild camel in 1890, but like, did it really have a dead body attached to it? Take it with a grain of salt. Do what you want with that.
I'm gonna tell you what I'm gonna do with that. That farmer who shot that camel and said there was a dead body on it.
Did it for
he had killed somebody and then strapped that dead body onto that camel. I was like, well, I mean, this is I don't know. This is a legend
story. Yeah.
It's the weirdest thing happened. I shot a camel and this dead body was on it. It's crazy.
Regular sightings of wild camels up through the 1890s. They start dying out about the turn of the century about seeing wild camels. There is one camel driver, the original 5, that actually does survive and stays living in the United States. He doesn't die until 1902. His name is Hi Jolly. I'm sure that's what we called him. I highly doubt.
Oh God, what is his? What's his background?
Well, he was from Egypt, so.
Straight from Egypt, and we called him Hi
Jolly.
Yeah, that's definitely the correct pronunciation of his name.
Yeah.
We
didn't
didn't
fuck that up at
Americanize
all.
it, butcher
Nope.
it, make it
Nope.
racist and awful or anything of that
Sure didn't.
nature, because
And
we never
hey,
did that.
That's the time that we thought camels would be a... Oh, it's a fun spoiler note here, just a final note while I leave. The 1st Wisconsin Light Artillery Battery B did actually get a couple of these camels before the war to, like, use for their artillery. So, you know, but they didn't make it into the war because
Shoot.
horses were just easier.
That's it for this week in Historic Hindsight. Thanks for listening. Be sure to subscribe, rate, and review, and join us next week. We talk about some ships sinking in the Great Lakes.